I'm Pete Quinnell, welcome to the WrestleTalk News. Today's top story is that there could be major changes coming to WWE pay-per-views, or as they're actually called these days, premium live events. But it's pay-per-views in the title because nobody calls them PLEs, alright? They just don't. And if you show me someone who does, I will show you a liar. On Raw this week, Triple H unveiled the new World Heavyweight Championship that will crown the new world champ on whatever show Roman Reigns doesn't end up on following the draft, which definitely didn't reek of a consolation prize because nobody could beat Roman now, did it? But this sudden introduction of a new top title may make a lot more sense with the reported plans for WWE going forward. According to Worked Wrestling on Twitter, WWE have discussed the idea of potential brand-exclusive premium live monthly events. Now, this doesn't clarify whether that would mean that there will be one pay-per-view, PLE, per month that would alternate between brands, or whether each brand would get one pay-per-view, PLE, per month, meaning one PLE every 2 weeks on average, because that second option wouldn't be very fun, would it? The former calendar, though, keeping the one show a month format, isn't terrible, giving each show effectively 2 months to build to each premium live event, meaning they have the opportunity to flesh out a lot of the upper and mid-card feuds with the increased screen time. Will they? No, but the opportunity's there. WWE had previously done this during the 2016 brand split until 2017, when they stopped doing that, because when the shows came back together, we got the best of both worlds. Remember that? Everyone sang a little song. It's gonna be phenomenal. The best of the best of the... Oh, it was bad, wasn't it? All of this is pointing in one particular direction, which seems to be Brand Split 2023, baby! Which also means Wild Card Rule 2023, baby! Before the one night of the year Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition, baby! Before the biannual quarterly Superstar Shake-Up Draft Wild Card, baby! Before we get the Best of Both Worlds 2024 edition, baby! That sounds phenomenal. Do you want an actual brand split to happen again, or do you prefer it when wrestlers appear across both shows? Let me know in the comments. And for me, I prefer a brand split when it's actually done, rather than saying you have a brand split and then not doing it. Wild card. On the subject of Triple H introducing the new World Heavyweight title, despite some people thinking that this might have been a Vince McMahon maneuver, what a maneuver, according to Sports Illustrated, this was entirely a Triple H idea, which, yeah, of course it was. It looks kind of like the old World Heavyweight belt. Vince wouldn't have done that. It would have had way more logo. But that doesn't mean Vince isn't around, because his presence was felt all over Raw, apparently. Oh goody. PW Insider Elite is reporting that several female stars were the most impacted by Vince McMahon rewrites on Raw this week, because of course they were. Those named were Candice LeRae, Piper Niven, Sonya Deville, Tamina, and Zelina Vega. There was reportedly a backstage segment with Adam Pearce that was scrapped that was due to feature Sonya Deville at the very least. Fightful Select expanded on this by saying that LeRae versus Niven was scheduled to be a match on the card as late as 7 p.m. EST, and both were due to participate in a backstage segment alongside Trish Stratus, but both were ultimately pulled. Their match was reportedly replaced with the Street Profits versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Mustafa Ali versus Chad Gable was reportedly only scheduled for one segment, but still had minutes cut from it, and there were also several matches that reportedly had their winners and losers changed, finishes changed, and had time cut from them. Thanks, Vince. There were several women who were reportedly vocal about their division segments being cut, which has echoes of the same sentiment from the April 17th Raw, when loads of women's segments were also cut or changed then too. Once again, thanks, Vince. But that wasn't all that happened on Raw, as there was also a little CM Punk running around backstage in Chicago. Ollie covered the majority of the story in yesterday's news video, but there has been a couple of further details. According to PW Insider, Punk was in Florida doing commentary for Cage Fury Fighting Championships. As he flew out of Tampa, he reportedly was coincidentally on the same flight as several WWE wrestlers and one producer, and was sitting next to some of them on the flight. This is reportedly when Punk learned that Raw was due to take place in the Allstate Arena, which is very close to his home, and at the time of the show, he was brought into the arena by friends. His interactions, according to Fightful Select, were with The Miz, Triple H, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Tamina. His talk with Triple H was reported by PW Insider to be a very brief one, with Punk asking Trips if he had a minute or two to talk, to which Triple H said he'd have to ask the big man if he would be allowed to stay. Within 20 minutes, Punk had reportedly been asked to leave, which he did without issue. Can't believe it. What a publicity stunt, am I right, guys? I see your game, Punk. Going to Raw in your hometown and being nice to people and making up with people you fell out with? Well, it won't work on me, pal. PW Insider is reporting that this isn't a publicity stunt or anything of the sort. It was quite literally just a visit to see old friends and mingle. But there's more. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, he'd heard from people within WWE that CM Punk might want back in WWE, which could be part of the reason he was backstage. I knew it. See, I knew he had an ulterior motive. Fightful Select is also reporting that there is no concern within AEW of Punk jumping to WWE, as he still has a lot of contract time left. So it seems it really was just a visit to friends. You win this round, Punk. Now, since it's always so tumultuous out there with wrestling, things can change in an instant. It's good to have a look into the future and get some sort of forecast on what's to come, which is why I'll now hand over to our weather reporter, Helen Temperature. Helen, how's it looking out there?
Put those sunglasses on, because this week's wrestling weather forecast is brought to you by 2008 TNA. Make sure to pack your umbrella, because flooding is expected with both Madison and black rain clouds due down west of Tennessee. These will pick up into full-blown James storms. Oh no! And if it gets chilly enough, Nashville might even see Al snow. But like Dolly Parton said, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain, because when all that passes, we can all enjoy a horizon of Angelina love.
You mean Velvet Sky?
Don't chat back to me. Back to you, Pete. If you do that again, you're out, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's time to talk about NXT. Don't worry, I'll have a full 1 minute one take shortly to go over the events of spring breaking last night, but first, it seems there may have been a couple of rumoured call-ups in the draft confirmed on the show. In the first ever trunk match, which still sounds weird no matter which way you slice it, the D'Angelos were victorious over Pretty Deadly. And while Pretty Deadly being put in the trunk of a car isn't necessarily emblematic of anything in particular, we were then shown later in the show the D'Angelos driving them somewhere, with them noting that they were now sleeping with the fishes. And the last time they did that, the person they killed showed up on AEW. So it seems there's every chance that Pretty Deadly could have been written off NXT with this angle so they can be called up in the draft, which has been reported and rumoured for a while now. Another tag team that were probably hoping to be written off TV is the Dyad of Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, who had requested their release to WWE recently. With them still appearing on NXT and Level Up and such, it seemed quite apparent that this was denied, and we now have confirmation of that. Both Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler have tweeted to confirm their releases were denied, with them both also confirming that their contracts expire on October 15th and 14th respectively, at which point they will become free agents. They seem pretty intent on letting their contracts expire, which means that once again they're soon to be the grizzled young veterans again, and I personally can't wait for that. And now it's time for the 1 minute, one take, where I will attempt to recount the entirety of the events on last night's NXT Spring Breakin in 1 minute and in one take. Start the timer. The show opened with the aforementioned match of Tony D'Angelo and Stacks vs Pretty Deadly, which saw the D'Angelos win and actually murder Pretty Deadly. They may want to lay low for a while. Bron Breakker quickly beat Andre Chase with the Steiner Recliner, furthering his heel character. This was after Andre Chase was hyped up backstage by Duke Hudson. It did not work. Dijak attacked Ilya Dragunov backstage and crushed him under a loading bay door. Nice. Cora Jade beat Lyra Valkyria with a DDT. Carmelo Hayes successfully defended his NXT title against Grayson Waller, and after the match called out Bron Breakker for a rematch at NXT Battleground. Breakker then killed Trick Williams and Hayes for good measure. The Schism made a deal with Joe Coffey that the Dyad get a match with Gallus, and if they win, they get another title shot, but if they lose, they'll never challenge for the belts again. Sweet deal, Joe. Fallon Henley and Josh Briggs beat Brooks Jensen and Kiana James after there's a miscommunication between Jensen and James. Post-match, she tries to slap him, but he blocks it and says he thought she loved him and they split up or whatever. Josh Briggs is still his bro though. Great story, guys. Dragon Lee was there. Screeps was also there. Obafemi debuted to much acclaim. He's big. Gigi Dolan did a promo on JC Jane hijacking commentary. And then the whole lot successfully defended the NXT Women's Championship against Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez despite being potentially injured during the match.
That was like 7 seconds.
That's not 7 seconds. No. Run it back. It was like 1 minute and 3.
You failed.
With all the talk of the new World Heavyweight belt, it's convenient timing that Luke and Ollie just did a 3-count episode where they take a look and review every single other championship belt in WWE history. Go check it out. Here's a clip. 3-count. It was fine, Ollie. It's fine.
It's been a belt.
Cena ruins everything. I know it's popular to like him now, but he was the worst for so long.
Yeah.